It's no secret that Trump is wrecking everything in the United States of America. There are ways he is demonstrably making life worse for every single American, whether or not every single American actually realizes it yet. Yeah, we know a lot of MAGA are really trapped in their sunk cost fallacy right now. Donald Trump has told them, in 2 weeks, I'll make America great again, just over the horizon, right? He makes promises and then he fails to keep them over and over. We see MAGA saying things like, yeah, we know gas prices are up. We know our grocery prices are up. We know that the jobs market is terrible and there are now more people looking for work than there are job openings in this country. We know we're all struggling a little bit harder, but maybe that's just because of the immigrants. Maybe it's just because things have to get worse before they get better. Trump has told us we have to tighten the belt. Elon Musk has told us we got to suffer a little bit. And then right on the other side, that's when we have prosperity. That's when America will be great again. Real soon, any day now, any day now. I understand the psychological pull of a sunk cost fallacy. It is so hard to acknowledge that you've been trapped in a cult for years and you've been lied to for years, that you voted for a tyrant and that you have invested all of this energy, all these hopes and dreams. You've bought all the merch. You've sung all of the praises. Maybe you've prayed to Donald Trump, and then to find out that he was lying to you the whole time, that it was all wasted effort, it was nonsense, it was never going to be real. That's heartbreaking. A lot of people cannot face that. And I'm not an expert by any means on deprogramming from a cult, leaving a cult, how to come out from all of that. But I do see people trapped in that who are suffering right now. They can look at their grocery bill and say, God damn, this is terrible. I can't keep this up. I can't keep this up. My premiums are going up on my health insurance, or maybe I'm losing my Medicaid coverage altogether. I am maybe losing my job, or the industry that I work for is cutting my hours, or they're foregoing my cost of living increase this year because they're having to pay far more for components because of Trump's tariffs. Real soon, y'all, real soon, the waste, fraud, and abuse is going to be gutted, and it's going to be an America with prosperity for all of the working class. That's what they truly, truly believe it. For the rest of us operating in reality, we can see how expensive life is. We can see all of the ways that we're suffering, that we're getting fucked over, and we know who's to blame. It's Donald Trump and the Republicans. I feel like there are ways every single day in my life, just normal, ordinary things, where I'm like, that motherfucker. There's yet another way that life is a little bit harder, just a little bit. It's almost death by 1,000 cuts for your average middle-class American, right? If you are looking at people who are not actively being targeted by the regime, if they don't have friends and family who are actively being targeted by the regime, if you are not, a loved one or a federal employee, if you are not an immigrant, if you're not a college student or a graduate student or what have you, if you're not a trans person in this country who is having their rights stripped away, Donald Trump now wants to make it illegal for trans people to have a firearm, right? He's trying to take away their Second Amendment rights. If you are an average middle-class person who is not in one of the vulnerable groups being targeted by the regime, there are still small ways every single day that your life is worse, that you are less prosperous and you are struggling harder than you were a year ago. Now, I could list a lot of things for our family. Personally, my eldest child's entire career path drying up thanks to Elon Musk and Donald Trump destroying the functionality of the federal government. My second child is looking at how she's never going to be able to afford law school because of changes that the Republicans made to financial aid. My teenage sons are looking at their future and being like, what even is the future? It doesn't feel particularly hopeful. Am I going to be required to sign up for selective service and fight in a war of aggression against one of our allies? What is it that we're doing? What does the future look like for me? There's no American dream anymore. Don't worry, I'm doing all of the things to counter that kind of thinking for them and remind them that the young people right now, they will get to build back after all of this. They will get to help us get justice for what's happening now. They will also get to help be the people who shape the future of this country. They are the people who get to make the big changes and create a higher quality of life, create abundance for all Americans. Right? I actually have a whole lot of hope for the youth right now because fascist regimes, they don't go on forever. They don't last forever. They end. And Trump's regime is particularly brittle. But I don't know about you. One of the ways I notice in particular that the regime has made things worse for our family is every time I go to buy groceries. There's 6 adult-sized people in my family. We spend a huge amount of money on groceries. And that's with a large garden. That's including the fact that we buy half a cow and a lamb from local farmers. And their prices actually haven't gone up very much at all. but Trump's tariffs and the chaos that he's causing in the economy, not only is that driving up costs on their own, but corporations, y'all, they will always find a reason to hike prices, right? Look at 2020. We saw corporations were like, oh, we had these supply chain issues, and so we're going to jack prices, and then they never come back down. We look at increasing shrinkflation. We look at sky-high prices that do not come back down, and yet we see record corporate profits. 2020, 2021, corporations made bank off of the pandemic, off of jacking up prices, while we all struggled. Gotta get my little anti-capitalist message in there, don't I? Okay, so one of the ways that I in particular have been feeling extreme pain, well, extreme is being dramatic, but I notice it, is when it comes to coffee. You may have seen that in a lot of my videos I have a coffee mug. I drink a huge amount of coffee. It is what it is. This is my cope here real quick. My neurologist did prescribe 2 cups of coffee per day because moderate amounts of caffeine have been shown to reduce the frequency of your migraines. But don't ask me how much coffee I'm drinking. There is a point at which you no longer see a benefit and you start to see that has a detrimental effect, especially increasing your anxiety. But whatever, I drink a lot of coffee. I'm not going to be changing that habit, except now maybe I might be. I have been reconsidering lately as we see coffee prices sky high. They are up 33% from less than a year ago. And coffee prices have more than doubled in the last few years. The number one reason coffee prices have been going up now? Donald Trump's tariffs. And we know there's also a compounding factor of Brazil and Vietnam both have had weather events that have reduced their harvests. I know we like to talk about Donald Trump's campaign promise around egg prices. Donald Trump, promises made, promises broken. But after eggs, it's coffee that has had the largest jump in price. I do think it's important to note here, CNBC talked about major coffee chains and how much they would have to raise prices to compensate for tariffs. Starbucks would actually only have to raise its coffee prices 0.5% to compensate for Trump's tariffs, to pass that cost on to the consumer, because a tariff is a tax that you and I pay. Other countries don't pay it. The corporations don't pay it. It gets passed down to the consumer. Now, I don't drink Starbucks coffee for a number of reasons, but I do think it's important to look at whether major coffee chains are hiking up their prices dramatically and claiming it's because of tariffs, and whether they are once again trying to rake in record profits because the American people are struggling. They see that as an excuse, an opportunity for them to jack their prices up and rake in massive quantities of cash. So just pay attention. Anyway, will I be reducing the amount of coffee that I'm drinking? I'm trying to cut back. I don't know. As we're going into the fall and winter here in the Pacific Northwest, it's going to be gray and rainy and dark, and coffee is a comfort to me. I'm real pissed off that I have to pay this much for it. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, but it is to me a demonstration of how there are all of these small ways that things are worse and they didn't have to be this way. So what is it for you? What's the thing for you that Donald Trump has done that in some small way has made your life suck a little bit more? Because yes, it's those really big, awful things that they're trying to do, but also all of the little things add up. They compound the issue so much more. And we shouldn't lose sight of that. The ways he's causing harm are myriad. The ways he's trying to wreck this country are endless. There is no corner of American life that he is not trying to fuck up. And we would do well to remember, who is the cause of our suffering? It's Donald Trump and the Republicans.